Greetings and salutations. This is Jason Silverain, and I've been recommended a weird one now again. Oh, this is Jellyfish season. I believe it's a Kinetic novel. It was released in September 2018. It's not got that many reviews. It's relatively positive, but I think it's developed and published by, is it Kombinat? It's an awkward name. I do not know how to pronounce this. I'm not going to be narrating this one because I fear for my throat. I've seen someone else narrate it. It should be about 30 minutes long. Niklas left his scooter on the empty side of the road, at a way down to the sea. The path was very steep, okay? He fought his way through a heavy thicket and cautiously crawled down the boulders hanging onto the gnarled roots that stuck out of the ground. Down there he took off his sneakers and threw them on the coastal sand. He rested his hands on his knees. His plump face flushed. His forehead was pouring with sweat. His belly, big enough as it was, inflated so much with each breath that it seemed that Niklas was an air balloon and was about to take off. I was about to say hot air balloon there, but no, it's just air balloon. The fatty man was sweating and still not recovered his breath, but he felt fine. It's the beach. More like a postcard picture than a beach. I come here and it lightens my soul. No worries. He burrowed his feet in the soft white sand. Just like powdered sugar, except it's not sweet. Niklas found his place on the third day of his vacation and when travelled to the south end of the island to a fishing village to take a look at the sea gypsies. The local residents did not make a strong impression on him though. Niklas expected to see wild people of the sea, a land untouched by civilization. Well, you're naive, aren't you? Even the tribes in the Amazon nowadays have got like t-shirts and modern knives given to them by people trading and coming through. But he was greeted with rows of stalls festooned with pearls, shells and other trifles, and houses with home satellite antennas and metal roofs. At each doorstep there sat a man or a woman. They smoked cigarettes and followed the stranger with their drunken eyes. On his way back he noticed a sign nailed to a tree. No text, nothing, but an arrow inviting to a dense jungle. The way down, all stones and bushes, would trouble even a young athlete, to say nothing of a clumsy big man like Niklas. The most indistinguishable trail ran along the rocky slope, winding amongst the trees, disappearing and appearing again. Niklas was even thinking to turn back, but he was too tired to climb up. Once he almost fell. He stumbled on a root and barely kept his feet, so as not to crash down the cliff. Finally, bushes parted and a tiny bay opened up before him, sandwiched between the castor rocks. The sea glistening not far away, emerald in the shallows and juicy blue at the horizon. The beach was deserted. Niklas decided the tourists did not come here because they always needed beach chairs, drinks and umbrellas. But here was just naked shore, not a single restaurant and a difficult descent. But it's all he needed. To have a bath away from prying eyes. Niklas loved to come here every morning. He undressed, satisfied no one was looking at his body, and rushed into the water which is pure as glass. He swam far away. He could still see the bottom of the sea through thick turquoise and coral gardens. On the bottom, an elegant fish floating in a dance. He dived and was a guest at this underwater party as long as he had enough air to fill into his lungs. Yesterday, Niklas bathed until nightfall, and would have bathed all night, but he was stung by a jellyfish. He spread his tentacles across his belly like a lash of a whip. It burned a lot, but not for long. No big deal. Actually, would not even think of it now. Niklas already covered his breath and was going to take off his clothes but suddenly he saw the same slippy little fellow as the one yesterday. He was washed ashore by a strong wave, lying on the water's edge, pale and dull, more like a wrinkled plastic bag. Niklas came over and bent down to take a closer look. The jelly body had not yet dried out and was impeccably twitched. Nearby lay another one, transparent too, and another one, yet another one. One more. The whole beach was scattered with jellyfish. There are all kinds of them. Hockey puck size, like an open umbrella, brown with dots and pinkish red. Here comes a blue one he'd never seen before. Niklas was walking on wet sand examining each. Strange creatures. So beautiful and so helpless. Niklas looked up. Directly above him stood a cliff covered in thick woods. The sea licked at small, smooth boulders. In the shade of... I cannot pronounce that, but there's a white towel. Niklas was taken aback. The beach belonged to him, right down to the smallest grain of sand. No one has ever showed up here, but today someone came over and spread out a towel on the sand. An open notebook and a pen lay on the towel. Niklas looked around in search of the owner. The sea was deserted. He picked up the notebook and shook the fir leaves off. The page was covered with smooth, beautiful handwriting like in a calligraphy worksheet. Niklas read a few lines. Poems in English. He knew nothing about poetry amongst poets he'd only heard about. I'm not even going to say those names. In addition, he had poor knowledge of English, but no doubt he was reading poetry. Written from a girl's perspective, seemingly about death. We are not afraid of death because dying is more painful than death. We are not afraid of ghosts because we always hear footsteps and things fall randomly and move. We are not afraid of giant suckers underground because it's just ridiculous. Where is the giant suckers underground? Are we afraid of dogs? We are not afraid of dogs because they are vampires and they know how to talk. We are very boring, and that is indeed a fact, my friend. We are a little afraid of music because it looks scary. We are afraid of the world because the world is like an irritated older brother. Sometimes we are afraid to live. Sometimes we want to stand in front of the mirror and ask, "You're joking, right?" Nope, we're not joking. We're afraid of mirrors. We love spiders. We love ice cream because it makes our kisses sweeter. We also put salt on fruit. First taste it, and if it needs salt, then we will salt it. We love to bang our heads against the table. We are not afraid to love. Love inevitably ends in pain. And we were hurt... We were so often hurt, my friend, that we fell in love with pain. Give it a D-. I'm gone like a sea wave broken by a breakwater. I'm gone like a sea wave. Yeah, rinse and repeat. Well, what do you think of it? She stood there beside him, barefoot in the wet, pale... Sorry, in a wet, pale, blue sleeveless dress, appeared out of thin air. Tall, volleyball player probably. Her blonde hair stuck to her face and her hands covered with goosebumps. Sorry, I did not want. The English in this is a bit weird. I've got a feeling whoever made this is not a native English speaker. He put the notebook back. He ran his hand over his bald head. She seemed to him very beautiful. Her eyes blue and clear like glass cleaner. You always take other people's things without asking? No, sorry. Niklas looked away. The beach was littered with jellyfish. Poor things perished under the mercilessly blazing sun. He had never seen so many jellyfish. I must apologise and leave, thought Niklas. Behind the rock there is another beach. It's worse than this one, of course. Lots of sharp rocks at the bottom of the sea, and the water is not so clear. While you're here you can swim very far and still see fish. Where are you from? Your accent is weird. Finland. And you? I'm not from here too. She spoke slowly and casually. Australian, suggested Niklas. There's lots of Australians here. What do you think of my poems? Very beautiful. I used to write a lot when I was a child. Then I stopped and now started again. It's good. Really? It started recently. How do you like the line about the wave? I am gone like a sea wave, broken by the breakwater. Not bad, right? Beautiful poem. I guess I'll rewrite them. These lines seem to be worse than the others. Niklas kept silent. He was bad at poetry. Well, don't worry, so's she. He stood fat and sweaty, stroking his bald head and tried to remember how to say in English, "Thank you very much for the conversation, but unfortunately I have to go. I wish you all the best." The beach was hers. The girl had wonderful blonde hair. It had already dried up. Niklas was surprised how quickly the day came. But it does not matter. They will never be published. Why? You are good. I like your poetry. I know they will be published. No, don't say so. They will be published. Do you really not understand? I do not understand. You are a good woman. I have to go. Thank you. The waves kept throwing more jellyfish onto the shore. Crystal bodies melted on the sand under the crazy sun, and she suddenly sobbed. They won't be published because I am dead. I'm sorry, my English bad? Come on, your English is good. Thank you. I understand a little but speak badly. I am dead. I died a month ago. I fell off the rock. The girl showed on the castle cliff hanging over the sea. From there opens a beautiful view. I wanted to see the sea beating against the rocks. There is a viewpoint but no fences. I stumbled and boom, I slammed down on the bloody stones. It is sad. You know what's really funny? Now they want to put the fence there so no one falls down. That is good. No, the funniest of all, I did not even want to be here. Well, I did, of course. I wanted to travel, though. Why not become a volunteer? What? Volunteer. My friend did that and she liked it too. She taught English in a rural school in somewhere in Indonesia. Maybe it was Malaysia, I don't remember, but certainly not here. I speak too fast, don't I? No. Okay. Anyway, I thought I could manage. I thought that this was my calling. Point of life. I came here, and the island is wonderful. All these beaches, parties, alcohol buckets and people. Especially people. But you know, I don't get on well with children. Why would I think it was my calling? I don't like children. Children are strange. You bet. But I'm grateful to them. Grateful to this place. It was here I realised I wanted to be a poet. Would I understand what I wanted from life? I kept on vegetating in Sydney. I wrote poetry as a child and then stopped. I've forgotten how great it was. My only regret is I died so silly. Yes. But well, that will do too. Being a ghost, I mean. Do you agree? It's quite quiet, peaceful. Nothing hurts. You are not afraid to die. The only bad thing is they won't publish my poems. I would like to publish a book. She paused and looked at the transparent jelly hills that flooded the shoreline. You're a good poet. It's time to go, Niklas thought. He didn't know English well enough to continue the conversation. This is her beach. She writes poetry, she can't be distracted. Besides, the sea is teeming with jellyfish. I should leave her alone. What about you? Who did you want to become? I work in large company. Manager. No, I'm speaking of another thing. Did you have any passion? Something you really like to do? You don't understand me, do you? How would I explain? This is not work. What possesses you? Maybe swimming? Breeding fish? Do you like to breed fish? Well, certainly not to learn languages. Tree. I loved tree when I was boy. Tree? Yes, I loved... Waves his hands. I do not remember the words. Plant trees? Look at trees? Chop them? You look like a lumberjack. No. Put forth his hand and began to wave it over his other hand. Knife. Knife, knife. Girl nodded. I understand. Sorry, I do not know how to say it in English. I understand you. As a child you like joinery. Any tables, stools, etc. Hey, it's great. Awesome. Niklas smiled. Saw you yesterday. Before that, you come here every day. Niklas felt embarrassed and blushed. Yesterday he swam without trunks, convinced that apart from him and the sand crabs, no one else was on the beach. You were stung by a jellyfish. I heard you cry out in the water. Must be very painful. Niklas shrugged his shoulders. No big deal. At first it burned, but it went away quickly. Show me the burn. He said nothing. You hesitate to undress in public, right? You're ashamed of your body? So you have a great body. Come on, please show me the burn. Niklas lifted his shirt. A thin marking similar to a red thread across the skin from the left side of his body to his navel. Wow. No pain. Nasty creatures, the jellyfish. Ugh. They're beautiful. Now there are a lot of them here. Poor weak things. Simply obey the flow, drifting aimlessly in the water and satisfied with what they have. Like many people, though. You are a poet. Maybe you were stung by a sea wasp. They come here from the coast of Australia. These pale blue ones. In Sydney I saw a lot of them. Niklas felt irresistibly drawn to sleep. He didn't have a good sleep all these days. He went to bed after midnight and got up at dawn. Rushing to the beach. Girl sighed and shook her head. Their venom is deadly. It's a pity that you had such a stupid death. Excuse me, but I do not understand. Of course you think... as I say nonsense. I also didn't realise I was dead at first. Crashed into the rocks, I swam out and thought, my lord, how lucky I am to stay alive. And then he decided to put a fence there to prevent anyone else from crushing down. I have to go, thanks for the conversation. I saw you sink. You didn't manage to reach the shore. A heart attack, probably. Their poison is very fast. Goodbye. It's hard to accept, but I will help you. Stay with me. The whole beach was littered with jellyfish. The girl stared at the fat man. Niklas caught in her eyes some sort of painful cheerleadiness. She wanted to look away, but he could not. The girl giggled sleepishly and pulled the strap off her shoulder. Another two. She took off her dress. The blue cloth fell on the sand. Am I going to have to censor this for YouTube? Oh, maybe not. Stay with me. Stay. I am all you need. Stay. Stay. Niklas stepped back. He was scared. Took another step back. The stranger laughed and followed him. Niklas turned and ran off with all his might. The trail was incredibly steep. Niklas climbed the hill, grasping at roots and branches. Sweat dripped from his creaks. He was climbing up to the wide highway without looking back. His scooter was standing on the edge of the road. Niklas put his helmet on and drove north to the hotel. In his ears, drowning out the whistling wind, rang the sharp girl's laughter. Alright, he can't be dead. He's interacting with things around him. Back in his room, the fat man lay down on his bed. He was dying to sleep. This girl is crazy. It seems her boyfriend left her. Met a girl from the local somewhere, so she went crazy. Niklas wasn't a big connoisseur of poetry, but he suspected the poets were sensitive people. High in the navel. He definitely needs to sleep more. He dreamt he was a jellyfish. Niklas rocked in the water like a silent bell. He wanted to sail far away, but the sea did not let him go. A powerful stream pushed Niklas to the shore, and under the fierce sun he was sailing wherever the water told him to. So helpless, so beautiful. Niklas woke up in agony. The skin on his belly was burning. Day drawing to a close. One after another the bars opened. The waiters were sweeping the floors and arranging the chairs. He'd have to buy ointment for burns, Niklas thought. He must find out how to say ointment in English. His vacation was ending soon. The day after tomorrow, Niklas would board the plane to Helsinki. The first thing he'd do is go to the construction market or even a carpenter shop and buy some planks. Linden or Aspen. And then visit his parents and ask for the key to the garage. Dusty corner where his father kept the old magazines and a deflated rubber boat. He would find a box with chisels, jigsaws and cutters and put on an apron. When he was a child, he was very fond of wood carving. It's not too late. I am alive. I'm alive, aren't I? How lucky I am to stay alive. The end. So, yeah, she was lying to him because he wouldn't be feeling pain if he was dead. I mean, she's just trying to scare people into staying with her after being dead. Or killing them. Who knows? Well, jellyfish season. A little weird, a bit unusual, and quite sinister. Hope you enjoyed this. I will catch you next time.